also known as COVID-19, is real.
Even though it is not a death sentence.
So believe it. Even though the lockdown has been relaxed a bit, we need to remain vigilant and remain safe.
Please let us take responsibility now. Do it for yourself and the rest of us.
Put on your face mask when you're going out. Observe social distance as much as you can. Observe appropriate sneezing or cough etiquette, which involves sneezing or coughing into your bent elbow, and a tissue paper, which should be discarded immediately after use.
Can you know to buri
and children will be children. They might not always want to do what you want them to do, and that can create stress. But then you need to be careful, because children are adventurous, because they are active. This is the period of home accidents, burns from fires, falling down, walking through glass doors, even attempting to take your drugs. You just have to be careful.
Use alcohol-based hand sanitizers often, and remember to stay at home if you don't need to go out. Remember, the coronavirus doesn't move, it moves when you move. God bless.
January 2021, and some people are yet to return from village since they traveled for the Christmas celebration. Just yesterday I saw my friend who came from London. He just left the village to Lagos, so he's still going to stay in Lagos for a while before moving back to London. Yeah, so there are people who are still in their villages enjoying, and you know that this festive period was packed with plenty activities. It felt like everyone who did not get married at the beginning of the year eventually fixed their weddings in December. So there were so many activities, from weddings to chieftaincy titles to coronations to housewarming in the ceremonies. So I'm wondering, which of these activities did you attend during the Christmas? Did you celebrate responsibly? Welcome to Darling Clinic. Good to have you tuned here on 107.3 Darling FM certified. Camille is my name.
And my name is Cassey, the radio diva. And just yesterday, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control recorded 1,479 new cases of COVID-19. And that's so huge, just for a day. And 4 of the cases is from our dear state, the Imo State. Well, mid last year during the lockdown, we saw how the AP curve began to flatten, and we were kind of quite relieved, thinking that okay, gradually maybe we're overcoming this pandemic. But late last year into this new year, the AP curve begin again to rise, and that's why today we'll look at how all of a sudden the AP curve began to rise again. But before then, first we want to find out how you celebrated your Christmas.
Absolutely. So you can find us online. Oh my goodness, I think I'm losing my voice. I hope I don't. You can find us online on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Darling FM 1073. How did you celebrate the Christmas? You can also watch us live. Yeah, so find us on Facebook still at Darling FM 1073. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Yes, at Darling FM Owerri and Twitter. So you choose any of the platform that is very comfortable for you, convenient, I beg your pardon, for you, and watch us live. Stay with us. This is Darling Clinic.
107.3 Darling FM. 107.3 Darling FM.
One evening my father said, "My son, I'm dying and soon I'll be gone. But before my final farewell, hear me and hear me well. Do whatever you want to do. Have a plan or roll the dice. But one thing is strictly taboo. Please follow my advice. Never Google your symptoms. that is my only prescription. You get 100 diagnoses, a medieval prognosis. Every sign is a serious condition. If you Google cough and diagnosis, you have got tuberculosis. And if you Google fever and red, you've got Ebola and soon will be dead. And if you Google I have a runny nose, it's CSF, your brain is leaking juice. And if you Google itch and prognosis, anaphylactic shock or psychosis. Never Google your symptoms, seldom it brings any wisdom. You want to discover, but you might uncover that you have an extra chromosome. So this is what I heard my father say, and then he closed his eyes and passed away. The autopsy report was very clear: death from hypochondric fear, which is custom when you Google your symptoms. Never Google your symptoms. The hit list is never awesome. Pain in your left arm, heart attack alarm. Do you feel a little weak? Yes, you got ALS. If you have a slight anemia, you got leukemia. Are you a little crazy? You got ADHD. So never ever Google your symptoms.
It's Sir Justin World Music.
She said, I'm feeling for me, you know my key. Words when you get don't trip me. Bang, 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 bang.
Sweet lady, na na na, yeah. Oh baby, wait. I dare DM, I want so pretty, oh baby, duro. Got a boyfriend and all my discharging them, so who they target you? Who they manage you? If it's the savage you, baby, yeah. But I wanna rate you, make I see what savage you, baby. Oh no, no, my love. Say now who for you are dying, cause you tripping from your head to your road. Yashi and Gabana on you everywhere, where go, everywhere, where go, baby, you do settle. Say now who for you are dying, cause you tripping from your head to your road. Yashi and Gabana on you everywhere, where go, everywhere, where go, baby, you settle. I don't need to remind you. So if you carry weight, and I will see you give me how you take. You be the reason I do shit. I love you. I want to see, I see me now. Put me on your melody, I see me now. I see me. Baby, on your skin, I see me now. I don't believer, so make I cry you a river. If you want to say now who are you are dying, cause you're dripping from your head to your toe. Don't you ain't got banner for you everywhere where go, everywhere where go, baby you too settle. Say now who are you are dying, cause you're dripping from your head to your toe. Don't you ain't got banner on you everywhere where go, everywhere where go,
And call it a day, call it splendid, funny day, and I'm ready to spend it.
There's levels to it.
this was exactly what it was during December. It was almost dirty December for some people. Everywhere just wet. People were having a lot of fun. But I don't think I had a lot of fun during this Christmas. I didn't attend a lot of events or activities. So I don't think I might be able to share
a personal experience.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't have a fun per se during Xmas, but New Year, yeah, I did, because my dad's birthday. And, so the family and everything. I spent the New Year with family and friends, so it was quite fun, very fun.
At events, like did you attend any events in the village or?
No, yeah, but it was a traditional wedding. I think two traditional wedding, but not like the peak of the Xmas. I think it was just December 12th, 20th, and stuff like that. So I did.
Okay. So did you notice anything at the event? Did you notice anybody, even if it's one person wearing face mask?
So the one on the 20th, I was the only one wearing face mask. So the 20th, I was the only one putting on face mask. I know what, I got in there, and the little kids, the villagers, the little kids, they were looking at me like, who is she? Why is she wearing this face mask? And I kept on wearing the face mask and leaving. A guy called me, like just tapped me and like, coronavirus no day again now. Why would they wear this thing? I just laughed. I'm like, okay, really? That you just have to wear yours? And he just said, I beg you, there's nothing like that again. And I'm like, okay.
Right. So for someone who is like that now, like that guy who thinks they came, but every day we are recording over 1,000 cases here in Nigeria. His question is going to be answered because we are going to be connecting with Chimezie Anueyago. He's the
Risk Communication Officer with NCDC.
Yes, we're going to connect with him on the phone, and he will answer our questions. Why all of a sudden is there a spike in cases in Nigeria? Is there a variant here in Nigeria? Is that the reason why there's increase in transmission? We'll find out the answers on the show. Stay with us. This is the Darling Clinic.
Darling FM 107.3. Darling FM 107.3.
Ụfọdụ mmanya dị iche iche ekwela nkwa inye gị ume, mana ịṅụọ ya ihe ga-anụgwu olu nwamba. Mana ihe arụ gị chọrọ bụ ihe ga-ada otu a. Mmanya Predator Energy. Predator site taa gawa, aha gị bụzi ọnọchie. Tụọnụ m ọnọchie. Naanị 200 naira ka anyị na-ere ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite boy by NSS. Yes, keep listening to Darling Clinic for a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, we are live here on 107.3 Darling FM. You're listening to Darling Clinic. Certified Camille is my name.
Cassey, the radio diva.
And we told you earlier that we will connect with Chimezie Anueyago, Risk Communication, NCDC. And yes, he is on the phone with us. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Miss Camille.
Good morning, Chimezie.
Good morning.
All right, so can you hear me? Hello, are you there? Like I can hear myself. It's like a whole back. I can't hear Chimezie's voice anymore. So I'm going to try
again.
Yeah, to reconnect with him. I do not know if you felt some sort of shudders or shivers when you saw that we had reached the 100,000 mark here in Nigeria. Yeah, so we're going to find out from Chimezie why this even happened. What is the reason for the recent spike in cases here in Nigeria? Chimezie, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on your show again this morning. So it's an important conversation that we are having now, Nigeria has, we now have up to, in fact, more than 100,000 confirmed cases in the country. That's a whole lot of cases. And we are looking at what might be causing this increase in number of cases. So a lot of things come to mind right now, and from the things we are seeing in our data, some things are coming up. So what we've noticed is that right from last year December, we started having a rapid increase in number of cases, and if you look at the cases we've had from January till date, we have an average daily case count of over 1,000 cases. So that's a huge number of cases, and that this is pointing towards the fact that a lot of people traveled during the Christmas. Most people went for different events, without observing all the COVID-19 preventive measures. So the data strongly point to the fact that the celebrations and the holiday actually caused a lot of increase in number of cases, which means that most people might not have observed all the preventive measures that have been put out there. And this is what we've been pointing out since, and this is why we launched the Celebrate Responsibly campaign during that Yuletide season, to make sure that everyone takes responsibility to protect themselves and their family members. We encourage everyone not to travel, but if it was absolutely necessary for you to travel, ensure that you wear your face mask at all times, ensure that you observe physical distancing. But we see that some of these measures are not being followed the way they are supposed to be followed, and we continue to encourage Nigerians that we only have ourselves. We need to take responsibility. We need to ensure that we hold each other accountable. We need to observe these measures. That's the only way we can start seeing a reduction in number of cases. And we'll continue to push out these messages out there and hope and believe that Nigerians will adhere to these measures.
But it seems that a lot of Nigerians who celebrated, who were not working, who were at home or traveled home, during the Yuletide period, some might have not celebrated responsibly. It's almost like we all forgot that we were in a pandemic. For that period, we traveled, we did not even use our face mask when we were in the buses. We went for events, and people even forgot to wash their hands. People were hugging because some people who hadn't seen each other for a while were excited. People even came in from outside, the country, came back home to their villages. All right. So, why do you think that we have an issue keeping to these public health guidelines?
Yeah. So thank you very much. The thing is, these are trying times, and we are having to adhere to things that we are not used to. We are having to do things that are so alien to us. Imagine wearing a face mask, covering your nose and your mouth, your very fine makeup, and covering your very beautiful face. Imagine not going close to people who you love, not hugging them. We know the kind of society we live in. So we understand that these are very difficult things. But we are also saying that, in as much as they are very difficult, they are things that are going to save our lives. A lot of people find them very difficult to do because they are alien, and we understand that. But we are saying that, if you continue to ignore those measures, you're going to spread this COVID-19, you're going to be infected, and we might likely see death. The truth is that, the significance of these 100,000 cases is that, if we continue to see an increase in number of cases in the country, we're also going to continue to see an increase in number of deaths, So what we actually want to do is to start seeing lesser and less cases in the country. We don't want to see more cases. So that's why we continue to encourage everyone, in as much as these are, things that we are not used to. They are sacrifices that we have to make to ensure that we get through to the point where we have like a standard solution to this. We all celebrated the discovery of vaccines for COVID-19, and we're all very hopeful that these vaccines will come into the country and eventually help us, get immunity to this virus, against this virus. But if we're not alive to get to that point where we have long-lasting solutions, it's going to be very bad for anyone who has a very bad outcome from this COVID. So that's why we continue to encourage everyone, please observe these measures, even though they are very difficult. They are the only solutions that we have right now at our disposal. Please let us, take them seriously and make sure that we follow them dearly.
Okay. All right, Chimeze, I think as of Wednesday, that's the day before yesterday, 9 deaths was actually recorded, and it was attributed to COVID-19. Yesterday, 23 deaths also attributed to COVID-19. And we go out there wearing face masks, and some Nigerians, they've actually come to, terms that there is COVID-19 in the country. But a larger some, they are still insisting there is no COVID-19 in Nigeria, even with the death toll that we get to see and hear every day. Now, my question is, as a risk communication officer with NCDC, is there any other way, or are there any other terms or words that you can actually use to tell these people that indeed COVID-19 is in Nigeria?
Well, anyway, so the truth is, anyone who is still in denial as of today that COVID-19 is not in Nigeria, that person we really need to check if the person is living is in another planet or the person is on this earth. Nigeria is part of a global community. We are having an increase in number of cases all over the world. Nigeria is part of the world. We have a lot of people traveling in and out of the country. The country's National Public Health Institute, in collaboration with different state ministries of health and LGA disease surveillance offices, are collecting cases every single day, and these are cases that are verifiable. You have documentaries all over social media, all over TV stations showing treatment centers in Nigeria, all over Nigeria, and you still say there are no cases, so that is not something we should, start paying attention to. There are cases in the country. We see them all the time. We have survivors who have spoken about their experiences. So what I will encourage people to do is really to start thinking about how, as a country, we can come together to really stop the transmission of this virus all over the place. Really, if we continue to live in denial, what will happen is people will not observe these preventive measures, and they will continue to infect others, and will continue to see death. So I encourage everyone, and I want to say categorically that we have cases in the country, and we have survivors who have spoken about this. We have doctors who are working in treatment centers who have also spoken about this. So let us snap out of it and take responsibility. Let us face it squarely. That's the only way we can bring this transmission to a halt.
Yeah, I believe that people who even still doubt this, they are dragging us back, because we have moved on from that conversation a long time ago, right? And we are moving to what we can actually do to make sure that we beat COVID-19 together. But then, as we're looking at individual responsibilities, we would also look at, companies and governments, people who are in leadership position, their responsibility, and that takes me to the registration for the national identification number. We've seen a lot of people go to get their NIN, and there's usually crowd, and social distancing becomes very hard to practice, and you go there, if you're the only one who's putting on your face mask and the other people are not putting on their face masks, they still put you at risk, right? And you find out that some of them do not even have hand washing facilities in those places. Isn't that something that should be reconsidered by the government, Chimeze?
Yeah, so this is a very important question that you've posed, and I'd like to point out what is happening around this COVID-19 pandemic, and also just COVID-19 pandemic in line with other things, other social measures and other economic things that are happening in the country. Everyone wants to continue, to continue running the country's economy while we respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in the country and ensure that we have a reduced number of cases. So we want to keep things going. We don't want to, keep the country to a standstill and say things will not continue to function because we are responding. We want to make sure that everyone understands what they need to do so that we continue to run our country. And the thing is, people really need to understand what we mean when we say COVID-19 preventive measures. There are things that we already know. This virus comes out through droplets, and these droplets come out from our nose or our mouth when we are talking or when we are breathing heavily, you know. So, and when you cover these two places, your nose and your mouth, you are actually covering a source that is likely to bring out the virus, you know. And if you now combine them with, you know, your physical distancing, your hand washing, that is actually perfect, you know. We've seen communities where, or countries where the economy continues to run while people wear their face masks, and we are still seeing very, very low number of cases. So what I would say is, as the government continues to, you know, run the economy and keep the country open so that every other person will continue to make their livelihood and all that, our individual responsibility here is to educate ourselves around what we need to do to protect ourselves and others. You know, we need to wear our face masks. We need to ensure that when we are in offices, when we are in a place like where we are doing the NIN registration, that everyone is wearing their face mask, that everyone has their hand sanitizer, that everyone is also washing their hands with soap under running water. So what we have done around that is to actually engage with the NIMC. We're actually working together with them to ensure that we have a very safe activity around registration. So we don't want to put everything to a halt in the country. It's the same thing we are doing for the education sector to ensure that schools reopen safely. It's the same thing we are doing with the National Youth Service Corps in the country to ensure that all members come into the orientation camps safely. So that's what we're encouraging people. We need you to educate yourself, look at the information that we have put out there, and then observe them. You can actually continue running the economy if people adhere to these COVID-19 preventive measures strictly.
All right. Okay. I want to ask you talked about the education sector, and just yesterday Lagos State College of Medicine was shut down, and that's because 3 of the students and of course some staff tested positive to COVID-19, and they asked the students to go home and do self-isolation and all that. Now my question is, 18th of January, that's on Monday, schools will be reopening. Are there plans, because according to what the Presidential Task Force listed out, what schools should have and what schools should do, some of these things rural areas cannot even afford it. Some public schools cannot afford it. Some even private schools are saying that the time given to them is not that much for them to put all those things in place. Now my question is, all seeing that Lagos State College of Medicine school shutting down because of still COVID-19, what can be done to prevent this happening in other schools? A situation whereby we have a student going to school and all of a sudden they are shutting it down because of the hike or the spike in contracting COVID-19 in schools.
Okay, so thank you very much, and I want to say here clearly that even before setting this second wave of cases in the country, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and state ministries of health had worked extensively with the education sector, the Federal Ministry of Health, and also Federal Ministry of Education and state ministries of education to come up with a guideline for the education sector. These guidelines stipulate every single measure that we can take in classrooms, within school areas, school offices, to make sure that everyone stays safe. And we've also engaged with the Parents Teachers Association. We've had meetings with school proprietors. We've had meetings with different education stakeholders to ensure that these guidelines are implemented appropriately. But what I will point out is the issue you raised about people having different resources, people not having 100% of everything that we have prescribed. So what we've said is, the guideline we've put out is the standard that is what we should aspire to. Everybody should look at that guideline and understand what this guideline is pointing out. And go and do an assessment of your situation in your different schools and come up with a way to adapt those guidelines, according to your specific resources. We're not forcing everyone to open on the 18th. We've said 18th is when schools should start reopening. But if you don't have the basic requirements to open on the 18th, by all means, don't open on the 18th. You can extend further until you have the requirements to reopen. So the 18th is when schools should start, not that every school must open on the 18th. So the education guideline is out there. It's published on the NCDC website. The Ministry, Federal Ministry of Health and State Ministries of Health have these guidelines. So everyone, school administrators, should ensure that they follow these guidelines in total. So another thing I've seen is people not really understanding what we are talking about here. You see people saying students should have their face masks. Students should have this. We're not saying students should merely have their face masks. We are saying students should wear their face masks appropriately. Merely having a face mask does not keep you safe or does not protect another person. You need to wear that face mask appropriately before you're able to protect yourself and others. So that's the information that we are putting out there around school reopening.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation shortly, especially for people who have celebrated wildly during the Yuletide. Some of the things they need to look out for, and when they see any of the signs, they should, send a message. I know there's a new short code for, sending messages to NCDC. Yes. So we're going to look at all of that, the signs that we should be paying attention to shortly. But here is Sia, Burna Boy on this new single is a remix of Hey Boy. I hope you enjoy it. This is Darling Clinic. Stay tuned.
Hey boy, what you got for me? What you got inside? Hey boy, damn you so sexy. Got me wanting
we go take you through any weather. Start drying up and make you wetter. So me things setter. You won't know what to do, you better. If you come closer, make I put you for my roster. Put no weapon in your roster. Your last number was a drama. Make it end up like a drama. When
music be right with the banda. Mix with things you like the banana. Situation never.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite boy by NSS. Yes. Keep listening to Darling Clinic for a healthy lifestyle.
It's your Darling Clinic right here on the People's Radio 107.3 Darling FM. My name is still Cassey, the Radio Diva.
And I am certified Camille. We are looking at how you celebrated your Christmas and also looking at what we need to do now that we have finished having fun. What are the signs we should be looking out for? The results. I met this thing up. I watch a ball. What result, Abi?
There's another one they say. I watch what's it called? I watch a mile or something.
I watch mile. Yes, that's exactly what we are doing now. We are counting. We are counting the miles because we've taken a lot of decisions that might have put us at risk during the Yuletide. We have Chimeze Anuyago here on the line with us. He's in Abuja. He's a risk communication officer, NCDC. We're going to start taking your calls as well. If you have questions, concerns, call us on 0815-050-1073, 0815-050-1073. So Chimeze.
Hello.
Yes. Yes. You're live. So we want to look at some of I say about us mile. So we want to look at some of the things, some of the symptoms we should be looking out for. If we notice any of the symptoms, then we can send a message to the NCDC short code or our state's government, our state public health emergency operations center.
Okay, so thank you very much. For the symptoms, and it's important for us to note that a lot of the cases that we see and we are seeing are actually asymptomatic, which means that most of them do not even show symptoms. But what this means is that someone who is very well, that nothing is happening to, might actually have COVID without knowing, and the person will be transmitting the virus. So what we continue to encourage everyone, and this is why it is very important that everybody, whether you are well, whether you are unwell, every single person should continue to wear their face mask and observe all the COVID-19 preventive measures, because you might even be transmitting this virus without knowing, without even knowing that you have it. So that is very important, and that's that for the asymptomatic people. But there are a few people that also show symptoms. And these symptoms ranges from a whole lot of things. A lot of people have said, oh, they are having a headache, they are having a fever, it might be malaria, it might be this or that. So what we encourage everyone is, if you feel unwell, think COVID. Because of a lot of reasons. We are now having what we call community transmission of COVID-19 in the country. So which means that people might actually get infected without truly knowing the source of their infection, because we have a whole lot of cases all over the country. So if you feel unwell, the first thing for you to do is not to start doing self-medication. The first thing for you to do is to reach out to your healthcare provider. Your healthcare provider will do an assessment and suggest a number of tests for you to carry out. You might say, give you a number of tests for you to carry out. And also, we all know that COVID-19 test is free all over the country. It's free everywhere. There are places in Owerri, everywhere where you can run this test. So we encourage everyone, if you feel unwell, reach out to your state Ministry of Health and get yourself tested for COVID-19 so that we find out if you have the virus or not. So that's it for people who might think they have it or not.
Okay. All right. So, Chimeze, we I think it was just yesterday we recorded 1,479 cases, and that's huge for just a day. And it's been on for the past 2 weeks. We've been seeing increase in numbers, and that means that we are even at risk, and we don't want that. So the question is, what should we do, or what can be done right now to reduce the increase?
Yeah, thank you very much. And something very striking about the increase that you mentioned is that, it's not that we are having, it's not that our testing has really changed so drastically. In fact, what we are seeing is that in the number of tests that we are carrying out on a daily basis, what increased, what increase that is causing us a lot of concern is actually what we call the test positivity ratio. That's the number of positive cases that we are getting from the number of daily tests that we are carrying out. So we are seeing that a whole lot of cases, a whole lot of the tests that we are carrying out, a whole lot of the numbers are becoming positive. And this points to the fact that there is something actually happening. We are having an increase in number of cases truly all over the country. So, and what can we do? We need to all ask ourselves this question: what do we need to do differently? A lot of people converge in large gatherings without wearing their face masks. That needs to stop immediately. People who still live in denial, who are saying that this virus is not there. The virus is out there and it's killing people. We need to start wearing our face masks at all times. We need to ensure that we start observing all the COVID-19 preventive measures. When we think about going to places of worship, you need to ask yourself this question. Is my place of worship taking responsibility? Are we observing physical distancing while we worship God? Are we keeping ourselves alive? Because it's also a sin for you to commit suicide, and not wearing face mask is almost like you committing suicide, or like you committing murder, because you might infect someone whose immune system is not really that strong. So that's also a sin. So we need to start thinking about this from that angle as well. We need to also start looking at our own loved ones. Are we keeping them safe? Do you know if you have the virus or not? Because you might be asymptomatic. So you need to wear your face mask at all times. When you go to the market, ensure that you wear your face mask. Ensure that you're going with your hand sanitizer. Ensure that the woman who is selling to you or the man who is selling to you is observing the COVID-19 preventive measures.
All right, hold on, thoughts, Chimeze. Hold on, Chimeze.
Sorry, I need to point this out. Sorry.
No, just hold on.
Important task that all of us have is, we are all champions of COVID-19.
Darling FM 107.3. Darling FM 107.3.
Mommy, let's play football. Mommy, help me push my bicycle. Mommy, jump rope. Mommy, here, let's play hide and seek. Mommy, let's have some Twisco. You need it.
It's easy to spot a Twisco kid because they seem to be so active. Introducing new Twisco chocolate drink powder, a unique blend of cocoa, milk, and malt, fortified with Enafort, a special blend of vitamins and minerals that helps give kids the vitality they need for an action-packed day. Twisco. Power your dreams.
Some energy drink they promise power, but then be like this. When waiting you really need now. New Predator energy drink. Rule your kingdom. Now only 200 naira.
Yes, Chimeze is speaking with so much passion because he knows what they see every day. Some of my friends who are doctors are yelling, even here in Owerri, saying this is becoming overwhelming. Every day we're on call and we get like two or three people who die of COVID, or you understand, or COVID suspected cases, and so that's a loss. I understand why he's speaking like that. So you talked about markets, Chimeze. When we go to the market, we should ensure that we put on our face masks.
Yeah, so very importantly, I was pointing out that everywhere we find ourselves, we need to ensure that everyone around us is taking responsibility. When you are in the market, ensure that the person who is selling to you or the person who you are selling to is observing these COVID-19 preventive measures. And one thing that I said was extremely important for all of us to do is to ensure that we become champions of COVID-19. We need to become change agents. We need to be the ones bearing these COVID-19 messages anywhere we go. If you find yourself in a cab, even if you're the only one who is wearing a mask, ensure that you put out the message out there that everyone in this cab needs to be wearing a mask. If you find yourself in a shop where nobody is wearing, ensure that you talk about COVID-19 messages, because we all need to start observing these measures to keep each other safe. If some people are observing it and some others are not, we are still at risk. So ensure that you're doing your best to educate everyone around you about COVID-19 preventive measures.
All right, thank you so much, Meziano Iago. We're going to keep sounding this again. We're sounding like a broken record, but
we can't
stop
talking about it. It's here with us, so until it's gone, that's when we stop. You can stop hearing about COVID-19.
Absolutely, Chimeze. Do have a great day.
Thank you very much, and I hope that this message goes across the whole of Owerri, and we start seeing improvement in the data in Owerri.
All right. Yes, you definitely see improvement. Maybe we will start a challenge, right? And you get a reward. You get a reward for
masking up.
Yes, for staying masked up.
Who is gonna go out there and be checking the monitoring?
You send us maybe.
I can actually put it on and just do the video and send.
We'll monitor you for 1 week. If you're able to do it for 1 week, when you send us,
Camille is getting a track and I'll be following you around.
So we actually need to do what's right to protect ourselves, protect our family, to protect our family members. I remember seeing a tweet, and this lady says, oh, she's quite sad, her mom died of COVID,
yeah,
and she feels like she's the one that infected her. So we need to be careful with all of that. And if you listen to Chimeze, you would hear him say that majority of the cases are asymptomatic cases, which means I might even have it and not know that I have it, and I might have infected Cassey with it. So that's the reason why we should use our face masks.
I'm actually shifted my chair.
Well, if you notice any of the symptoms, let's say you're as asymptomatic, you're noticing any of the symptoms that Chimeze mentioned, you can actually call the state. There's a call center here in Imo State that you can call. It's 090-61340-324, or you can also call the state epidemiologist
080-3671-8000 080-3671-8000.
And if you want to reach out to NCDC via the NCDC short code, it's free of charge. All you need to do is dial 6232. Very simple. So we want to take the comments we have on Facebook.
So we have this one from Eke Maswell saying he's watching us from Enugu, and he went ahead to say COVID is not in Nigeria. Enough of all this business. So we just talked about people like him.
Maxwell, we've moved on. No, we are no longer in the COVID is not in Nigeria era.
All right, so we have Sir. What's his name again?
Christianus.
Okay.
Christianus, right? Uneze.
Saying good day to us. Okay. And we also have Emmanuel saying, wow, my adorable Cassey, see as you fine. And Plumpy, okay. I have really admired your voice with your radio husband. Thank you so much.
And we have Okeke and Kem, who is just mentioning someone. We see you all watching us live from wherever you are in the world. So remember, you can tell your friends, your family members to join us, watch us live, listen to us live. If you want to listen online, it's www.darlingfm.ng. Absolutely, yeah. At 12, you'll be listening to our Pidgin English news. Certified Camille is my name.
My name is Cassey, the radio diva. Thank you so much, DJ Paul.
And here is Tara, Alexander Cole, and DJ Bosch.